I'm Luís Miguel Girao. I'm Portuguese, but I'm actually based in Portugal. I've been working in the field of art and technology for about 11, 12 years. It's okay, thank you. Which means I spend some time thinking about a number of questions. I'm connected with a number of institutions. The main one is a company that I found called ArtShare, which is a research company in the fields of technology and the arts. I'm also part of some of the CRe-Am group, which is a research group in sociology and music from the University of Lisbon. I'm part of the Planetary Collegium that was founded by Roy Ascott, where I'm a PhD researcher, about to deliver, by the way, and hopefully. And I've been working with the European Commission very closely for the past year and a half, along with all these people here, to try to understand how can we connect art and ICT in specific manners. And I think that Lampros invited me to be here because I have a big provocation to throw to you. And it basically, I believe that there's no point in thinking about developing technology for artists. I think that we shouldn't understand art as a sector, and the ones that practice art would understand this very clearly, because art is about disruption, right? So it doesn't seem to me that if we're going to try to bring artists into the game, if we start talking about this in this sort of context, I don't think this won't be honey for this sort of bees that we're trying to bring here. Okay, so and I can give you a very short example before I deliver my my conceptual idea about this. One of the biggest examples of software for artists is something called Max MSP, that if we have musicians around here, is a tool that lots of people use. But in fact, artists that practice music and audiovisual interactive systems with Max MSP, they don't use a Max MSP. They use the PD version, because the person that developed the Max MSP for CRe-Am, Phuket, right? He made sure that then when the license was put to make Max MSP as a commercial version, that the PD version, meaning the open source version, would be available for everybody, and it still is. And you will understand, and for the ones who know the worldwide community of artists, they'll understand that this is very important. To keep systems open for artists is very important. To sell systems to artists is not even a market, because there's no money in it. Who's going to buy? We developed, what I think makes sense is that artists develop tools in ICT, okay? And that's my vision of what I've been, it's my experience. I'm reflecting my experience as well as an artist. And as an artist, art is a need. So we need to understand is that making art is not, I'm going to be an artist. For instance, I ride horses on Sundays. Today I'm not riding because I'm here. But if I would be in Brussels, I'll be riding my horse. But I'm not a horse rider. I ride horse on Sundays. To be an artist is, you wake up in the middle of the night because you need to do something and you really don't understand why, and you do it in order to understand. And this is a very peculiar way of being that is complicated to integrate in society. But however, I believe in the historical moment we live at now, we have this need to integrate artists in serious discussions, because our systems are in crisis. It's just not an economic crisis. That is just maybe somehow irrelevant consequence of what is our human crisis. Okay, but we don't have much time about this. I just wanted to say very shortly what I think. If you could move to the next slide, I would like to. I think I have about now 7 minutes. Is that okay? Or is too much? It's 5. Yeah? Okay. Yeah? Okay. So I would like to, to, um, um, to, 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 to bring the memory of Frank Malina, which I believe some of you know, was the founder of the first network of art and science called Leonardo. He himself was an artist and a scientist. And I would basically, and Roger Malina, who's now the director of the Leonardo network, which is the biggest network in art and science research, just recently wrote this article in praise of hybridity, celebrating the 100th anniversary of the birth of Frank J. Malina. And he says that my father once wrote, "It was my feeling that one way in curbing the misuse of technology might be if we could, through the arts, emotionally prepare young people to see the aesthetic, positive side of things, and also then respond by seeing the negative." Of course, this is in response to the Second World War. This happens in 1950s, right? This emerging hybrid community, and now Roger, his son, is talking about what we think is happening. There's an emerging community of hybrid people who are artists and scientists and designers and philosophers who are a little bit of everything. So who are actually the people that are implementing the notion of transdisciplinarity that, as you know, possibly some of you are academics, is a very difficult thing to achieve. So this emerging hybrid community is carrying within it the ideals of a socially robust science that foregrounds not only ethics and values as core values in science and engineering, but also celebrates with joy and pleasure the well-being of human beings in all their non-reductive complexity. Can you move forward? So basically, that means that that is a day of the past. This Frank Malina talking a century ago, right? What we have now is something different. Of course, because institutions are somehow slow, we tend to look towards the past, but in actually the reality is a bit different. So what we believe, and this is an article we put out, is that the adoption of artistic practices as research methodologies is instrumental for the integrations of subjectivity in the production of scientifical, reproducible knowledge, allowing for a holistic approach to the emergence of future sciences. So we are looking into building up new ways of working in research, including the arts. But in order to produce scientific reproducible knowledge, because otherwise it's useless, right? So we also need to understand what do we mean by art, because art can be a lot of things. You know, can be the Sunday ride, or it can be painting, I don't know, carpets. It's fine. But we actually, all of these ideas come from the idea that art is an hierarchy of meta-observations in a holocognitive structure that can be a process of transformation of consciousness. So it means that art is a way of being and perceiving the world around and inside. Okay? So, and therefore is a way of transforming consciousness, not only the self-consciousness, but the consciousness of others. So, and paradoxically, this experience is, you experience in this process of creating artistically, or perceiving artistically, or living artistically, as Fluxus movement tried to demonstrate, you perceive infinity in an instantaneous moment, right? So you start thinking about ideas of singularity and ideas of infinity and also holistic structures, right? So, and in this sense, the definition of David Bohm of creativity is the one that, to me, makes more sense, although it's not the one that, for instance, the Commission follows, right? Commission follows the definition of creativity that is a spillover of cultural activities. And this is very clear if you look at the definitions of the Education and Culture DG, right? So you have cultural activities that are painting, literature. Music, for instance, some parts of music is considered to be a creative industry. So when we talk about creative industries, we don't talk about art. Art is a cultural activity, right? Even in a definition of the Commission. So when we talk about creative industries, and for those, I think it makes sense to develop tools. We're talking about architecture, we're talking about design, we're talking about activities that are closer to markets than the artistic activities that are closer to, in a perspective, well-being. I'll answer your questions a little bit later. Is that okay? Can I follow?
Just where do you put down your house and all that then?
Oh, in the creative art, because it's clearly those sorts of activities is a commercial business, you know.
So it's money based.
Yeah, it's money based. It's to sell, and it's fine. Yeah, no problem. It's very nice. It's interesting use of diamonds to make money. It's fine. Diamonds make money. It's okay. But what is important in our vision is that David Bohm, who actually was a physicist, right, brings the idea of dialogue as the basis of creativity. The promotion of dialogue is fundamental to establish creative activities. And that's where artists are specialists. And that's where we can learn from artists and bring into our practices in the creative fields, which can be expanded everywhere. Economy is a creative field if you look at it deeply, right? So in all this concept of art and artistic practice, then the new is created and realized within the possibilities of the medium of expression. Can you give me the next slide? So this poses the question, so what do we talk about technology? Which technology is for artists? It doesn't really matter. Artists will always develop new technologies, whatever they are, and whatever it means, right? So whatever is available for expression will be there for artists, and if it's not, artists will invent them. And we are actually, again, you know, we have the street we are here is called Leonard, which of course reminds me of Leonardo. And Leonardo was inventing stuff. He was not waiting to get something invented for him, okay? So I believe I have to wrap up. So I'll move, I was going to talk, this is my personal research. I'm dealing with bioelectromagnetism and neuromodulation as a tool for expression, which sounds very weird, but is actually happening. So, we developed for the European Commission an idea of how to implement these ideas in practice based on technological development, as Lampros said, that we are focusing in technology. Well, I talked a little bit about that, so if you could just move on. To link with the CRe-Am activity, we are now running ArtShare with iMinds, which is an institute from the Flemish government that is actually a network of researchers of all Flanders. And we're developing this study for the Commission, where we are creating a map of institutions and individuals engaged in artistic practices within ICT research projects in Europe and worldwide. So we're looking into Europe and trying to establish and characterize it worldwide. And we will analyze best practices to enhance interaction between artist researchers and other IT experts. So we are including artists as IT experts because you have a number of artists that are in actually one of the most preeminent developers of technology. A good example is Google Street Maps was developed by an artist. And the idea is to increase the impact of these interactions on innovation and creativity in Europe. So when we talk about creativity, we talk about the creative sector, right? And the aim of this study is to contribute to enhancing creativity and innovation in society, technology. So we're looking into what in the jargon of the Commission we call societal challenges, technological developments, development of science, education, and of course business, which is a very important area for the sustainability of all this process. And of course to better gracefully embed science and technology in society. So again, artists as sensory beings that somehow engage with society in a different manner, in an alternative manner to the scientific methodologies, but that are able to produce scientific reproducible knowledge that can be then industrialized and can be put in practice in society. So that's my provocation. Thank you for your time, and I hope it's somehow useful. Oh, questions?
That I'm being stupid here. Are we saying that, or are you saying that the EU description of art is if it doesn't make money?
No.
So then you have to explain, because I got confused with it.
Okay. So what confuses them?
Because the question I asked previously, right?
Mm.
You said that if it's making money, it goes into the cultural industries, and for the purpose of this area of research, if it doesn't make money, then it's included in
No.
You have to clarify this.
No. There is a capital background for all practices we do, right? It's fine. There is a market of art, which is a market of commerce. And it seems to me that we should not put public money in developing practices of commerce. So if you have...
Why not?
We do it.
With aeroplanes.
No, you do it.
We do with
Yes, but in a way that you produce something that is new, or something that promotes.
So artists don't produce new stuff.
Sorry, no, artists do.
Right.
Exactly.
The way he's saying it, he's saying that artists. Can I just interrupt?
Yeah,
Yeah,
please.
I
No.
misunderstood.
But that's why I provoke, right?
He's saying there's two different kinds of practices for artists. One that's about making money,
Yeah.
and one that's about making new innovations in culture or new work. And the EU wants to support those to make new work or new contributions rather than just helping them make money.
But aren't the two things interconnected? I mean, that's the point, really. That seems to me to be. I think I'm getting that now, but which I wasn't getting clearly from before. However, you've also just said that, in your opinion, you don't think that that's something that EU should invest in, right? The money side of it. Whereas
well,
what I would argue is, just to finish.
To create industries, though.
Yeah, I know, but what I would argue is this definition and this separation that somewhere over here we go and enter the industry and then we make money and we do this. And then over here we float about and we make like ethereal conceptual stuff that, has some scientific value and has some greater, is fatally flawed. Because actually the two things are totally interconnected and totally interdependent. And the process of being an artist and engaging, particularly with technology, is absolutely intrinsically linked up with big business at every level, and to try and separate ourselves out into some early internet bubble. So I'm not feeling that.
Yeah, but
As you can tell.
Yes, but listen.
Wouldn't you rather support they support something that's not already making £1 million a year, like your example? And
No,
support
but I'm just saying that because of course, well, okay, sorry, I don't want to, but I'll persist. Because I've been doing so much work recently on raising awareness between the 99% of artists, right, that make up 12% of the cultural industry sector in Britain, whose IP rights are being exploited by big technology and business. I just think it's a very slippery slope if at European level we start to separate that out.
But I think
Whereas it's still valid
Sorry
to totally invest
to in-
separately, but to have that line of thought, I just don't think this is.
Sorry to interrupt, but maybe I expressed myself wrongly, but exactly what you're saying that I was trying to convey. I think
Okay.
there's there's no way of separating this interconnectedness, and it is extremely important to value the economic outcome of this, and it's extremely important to do whatever what you're saying, that 99%. We have this example, for instance, Golan Levin. I don't know if you are aware of Golan. He's a preeminent new media artist. Put a very very interesting article that will support the idea that you're bringing out in his website. His website is called flong.com, right? And he demonstrates in 2 or 3 pages how a number of new media works were appropriated by industry, and artists that actually created them brought the idea were not, first of all, involved in the process, which is more important. So there's some the generation of the original idea, and they have no economical return from an idea that was brought by them, right? And if this is what you're talking about, it's fundamental. But what I think is important is that when one generates funds for the creation of artistic research or art-based research, that's what we're talking about here, right? We're talking about, first of all, research, second of all, research in technology, and third of all, methodologies of practicing research. So not necessarily when you produce a painting, or you produce, or when you practice art, you're producing new knowledge, okay? And this is where it is difficult, and that's where we have to very carefully think about it and establish the methodologies to implement these sort of practices. Because otherwise, we could be trying to invest in something that is just production of art, which has already its own market, it's there, and can actually possibly get funding in the context of the union in trade, for instance, right? So you can look about exportation of works of art to other economical powers, but we're talking about research. And research is about... Sorry?
I don't want to dominate the
it's fine, but so we can talk about this later, but what I think is important is the idea of research.
One brief question about the last slide you showed.
Yes.
So you talked about the best practices study that you're doing at the moment.
We are
smart
going...
study. You call it IMINES, or is it?
I'm sorry?
Is it an IMINES? How do you call this studies? IMINES?
It's called, no, it's called, the name is there. It's Art and ICT Connect. Sorry.
I can see a lot of synergy with ICT and Art Connect, of course, and we do what we do in green.
Oh, yes.
So your comment on that is very general.
The connection between, well, this of course is all these projects are part of an effort and initiatives coming from the Commission, most importantly from DG Connect, which is the Director General for ICT, and because ICT is so broad and it's everywhere, it's not again information society, but it's called Connect, and all of these projects are somehow related to trying to understand how can we bring then artists into the development of new technologies. And so therefore our discussion is not broad as they used to do these days, and actually I'm not really interested in what the EU should do or not. I'm interested in what can we do to bring some support from the union to artistic practices that produce research. And therefore there's a number of projects, namely the CRe-Am, that is a little bit a side project because it's focusing on creative industries, but it also there's exactly what I think with the connection with SMEs. It's fundamental because it brings the economical background and all the sustainability model for what we're trying to implement. And there was the Fat Art project. There is the Fat Art project that you've been involved in yesterday, and that is doing an effort to try to understand how technologists and artists can collaborate and co-create in order to produce something new. And this ICT study is looking possibly, the ICT study tries to understand what is the reality, right? So it will try to see how things are developing in Europe and worldwide, and what seems to us as a basis, because the study just started, so this what we're talking about here is what is our primordial vision that then of course will change during the course of the study, is that there's a community of hybrids, people that are not just scientists or just artists, they're a bit of everything, and those are the ones that are developing new technologies.
Yeah, just sort of help out with bringing the two strands together, because we come from cybersecurity, and we have very nice two examples of doing exactly what you are proposing from the old days and from the recent days. And the very early example of artists developing their own tools, and then being picked up by the industry is Hannah Gal, who developed layers for Adobe. Yeah. And we worked with her in 94, 96, where she really developed layers because she needed them as an artist. So she formulated the requirements, and then through European money she got a little project, and then later on Adobe realized that actually is a requirement a lot of people would like, but may not be mature enough to define, because artists in the old days of technology were a bit unsure of, is it them being stupid, is the technology being stupid. So once we firmly established the technology was really being stupid, then we were on the right ground. And I stayed with that view till now because technology is forcing us ongoingly to fix our emotion to some silly taxonomies of sensitivity to rat. So it's our really way of breaking those taxonomies and defining what it is what we want. So that was an early example of very good European support that moved towards fantastic commercial development.
Yeah.
And I think Adobe already stated that, so maybe there is one lesson there to work with a large developer. And the recent one which we had worked with, it's Anarchic from Edinburgh, a wonderful lady who is a jeweler who wanted to use 3D technology, 3D printing, and really didn't like the 3D, the CAD approach, because her head wasn't thinking in the CAD systems. Her head was thinking in the making beautiful products, making beautiful objects. And she just decided to throw out the whole CAD approach and start again as technology should serve her. So she went off and specified a piece of software which now we've seen being used with schools and with people who have no idea about designing 3D objects, but they are using it because it's grabbing, it's pushing, it's very intuitive. And you wouldn't be able to get that project from an established CAD/CAM designer because they have so much in their head already and they don't see that most other people think it's idiotic. So it's really breaking this point of giving the confidence to the artists with the European money or anybody's money before the commerce can grab it. But artists are very good people to start asking questions. Is it green or is it technology? 9 out of 10 the answer is technology. It's wrong. So let's redefine it. So to me it's obviously obvious that this is the right approach and the commercialization comes later on because not every project is viable. But the European money is kind of really handy at this beginnings when we sort of searching and looking and just a little bit of push to have confidence to ask.
Yes, well, absolutely. That's what it seems to us is the right approach. But there's a lot of people we have to convince about that, right? So until we move from here again to possibly Parliament next year, and we are able to say, okay, we are able to elaborate the arguments you just posed, and what we're trying to build up here, and this is then put in place, then we'll be in business. So that's why. No, so of course I will get your contacts, and you have my contacts through everybody here. But we have a website that is the ICT-ART-Connect.eu, and there's a number of websites because there's also the FET website. There's ICT-Connect. Well, there's going to be a number of wwws that's going to bring to the same place. And what we're building up is a platform where everybody can bring and put. First of all, we're trying to map who are the institutions. So we are in the process of designing what sort of information we need to know, and then what sort of ideas these people can bring. And of course, we're trying to gather a huge amount of people. So that's why we're using the platform so people can themselves put themselves on the map. So, and of course, you'll find contacts. But we should talk later because this is happening, and I think it's a good thing. Hopefully. Thank you.